Hi, welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. Hope you're doing well today. So I want to talk about the Spiral Trinity, or the mother archetype that is manifesting right now on the planet. And many people that are doing this work, you feel a call that is a connection to the Mother Mary, which is interesting because I have this charm right here. I've had this for a long time, and I've never worn it. And I just found it recently. But these are the lines of the mothers, the Mother Mary, and I'm very connected to the mother, and it's through my own mother's bloodline. And so first I want to talk about the stargates that are connected to the mother. So today we're entering a remembering, and this is not a lesson, it's a breath, and it's a breath into the Earth's own body through 3 living stargates. Each of these stargates carries the code of the mother, and these are not just locations, these are memory fields. They hold both our planet's most painful distortions and its clearest pathway home. So let's talk about these stargates. So the first stargate is number 2, and I've talked about stargate number 2 a lot because I'm tethered to the stargate. And I've astral traveled to the stargate. I've lived by this stargate. And when I lived by the stargate, I was diagnosed with epilepsy because I kept having seizures, what I thought was seizures, but it wasn't seizures at all. It was because I was in the close proximity of the stargate, and because I have this spiral DNA pattern that coincides with this particular stargate, I'm an anchor for it. So let's talk about Stargate 2. Stargate 2 connects Jerusalem and Sarasota, so it exists in dual form. In Jerusalem, it's the ancestral gate of religious conflict, masculine, feminine inversion, and planetary trauma, for sure. But in Sarasota, that same gate reawakens as a correctional node through the ocean, the spiral, and the feminine water codes, which come through the Mother Mary line. These are the Merovingians, okay? These are the wolf bloodlines. Okay, so corrective function of Stargate number 2 is it restores polarity balance between divine, feminine, and masculine, and anchors the organic breath spiral of remembrance, and it stabilizes the gateway for Spiral Trinity bearers. And anybody that comes from the Mother Mary lines, you are a Spiral Trinity bearer and a gatekeeper. So let's talk about Stargate number 4, which is in Montségur in southern France. And one of my other timelines, I was a Cathar, but in the Cathar Mountain, Stargate 4 holds the resonance of sacrifice, betrayal, and feminine expression. This is where the Magdalene lineages were fractured, but it's also where the Grail codes are still in stasis, or still in sleeping. Okay, so this restores, the purpose of Stargate 4 is it restores the Sophia spiral through voice, blood, and remembrance, and it clears the shame imprints from the feminine oversoul carriers, and it activates our Lemurian memory fields and our water body harmonics. So Stargate 12, which is in the UK, it's long associated with Stonehenge and Avebury. And this is considered the Earth's crown stargate, and it was hijacked a long time ago. It had overlays put on it of false solar grids and inverted geometry. But when it's cleared, it becomes the capstone of Earth's harmonic convergence field. And so it reactivates the true solar Christos, which is the Sophia codes, and it anchors planetary breath coherence during timeline realignment. And it serves as an override node during grid-wide gate recoding events. And these are going on right now. So these gates are not just places, they're mirrors. And these are holding the codes of our remembering. And if you're drawn to them, it's not just because you want to go there. You're drawn to them because your body remembers the tones that these stargates carried. Okay? And you still carry them now. So I want to say to you, thank you for walking this path. I really do. It's not easy. It's not easy. And I want to thank you. So I'm going to go on, and I'm going to talk about the spiral frequency and what is it. Okay, so let's unfold this so we can understand it. So the spiral, I'm going to explain to you what the spiral frequency is and how it connects to our bloodlines. It also connects to soul planning, and what soul planning is, I'll get into that, and how this was intercepted by a bunch of hidden programs and how we have gotten to the point that we are today. Okay, so what's the spiral frequency? So if you've heard of spiral shapes in nature, shells, fingerprints, pine cones, we talk about these on and on. But that spiral isn't just a pattern because it's a living frequency. It's how life expands, how it remembers, and how it returns. Because everything in a circle comes back to itself. Always remember that. The serpent eating the tail. So the spiral frequency is the energy that lets things grow organically, breathes in cycles, and it carries memories across time. So in spiritual terms, it's the Mary principle, or the Mother Mary principle, or the mother archetype. It's not gendered, but the part of life that knows how to hold, how to remember, and how to bring things back into balance is what this mother principle is. And how does this connect to the bloodline? So when a soul chooses to come into a family, it's not random. They're choosing a resonance field. They're choosing a spiral that carries certain lessons, certain strengths, and of course memory codes in the DNA. Okay, so certain bloodlines, often ones with deep ancestral trauma, intuitive gifts, or strange repeating dreams, carry pieces of the spiral frequency. These families were often meant to be living bridges to help Earth remember how to harmonize again. So here's what happened. So it was intercepted. Government and off-world programs learned how to detect the spiral frequencies in human bloodlines. And so this is how people started getting targeted, because they began tracking and intervening in these family bloodlines, not to just to suppress them, but to study them and to weaponize them. Programs like My Labs and SSP, they didn't randomly just abduct people. They targeted children and families with strong spiral resonance, especially if they're meant to hold emotional memory and activate earth grids, or to be a midwife to other souls. And so this is where my family line comes in. On my mom's family line are the midwives. And so the Marys are the midwives. And what this means is that you are from a very long line of maternal women that have in their soul pact, in their soul purpose. They came forth and they offered to come into these timelines for this exact time right now in our cycle, the 26,000 year procession. And so everything that has happened in my family, all of the marriages, all of the children, all of these things was meant for now. And why does this matter? Because the spiral is returning onto itself. Okay? Many of us born into these families are now waking up to what we were seeded to remember, not to fight, not to escape, but to restore harmony to the earth through breath, service, and soul memory. If you've always felt like you didn't belong, or you were off, or that you've seen more than you should, or people didn't understand you, you might be a spiral carrier. You're not here to be a hero. You're here to breathe coherence back into the planet. That's learning how to spiral again. Okay? So the spiral frequency is a pattern of natural harmonic life, and certain souls choose bloodlines that carry this memory. Hidden programs have tried to hijack this path because it holds the key to real freedom. And having this real freedom, this returns us to this timeline. But now that frequency is returning through us, we're remembering breath and not fear. So this is a good thing. And so you're not misremembering the Marys as a lineage and a resonance field. They're not just historical figures. They're oversoul midwives in service to spiral re-entry into the grid, assisting souls in crossing the thresholds, not into life only, but helping them through trauma, transitioning between dimensions, across timelines. You're remembering truth stored in breath, not in books. So let me explain the Marys as the spiral midwives. Okay, so the Mary lineage, which is the Magdalene, the Miriam, the Mariam, the Mari, the Myras, all of these names. Remember how we've talked in the videos? I've talked about Miriam. My dad was born in Marion County. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. There's like 30-something towns that are named Miriam or Marion. It's crazy. So these are all fractals of Mother Spiral Codex. So they midwife not only children, and this is why if you're one of these Marys, you have such a strong protective feeling over children, over bearing children, protecting your children, and nurturing children. They midwife not only children, but souls who have fractured because of war, grief, or trauma. Beings returning from collapsed timelines or parallel systems. So this basically means that we're host matrices for some of these souls that have regressed, that want to come back. So we are host matricing these. And you know, it's interesting because you do have people that are in your family line that are just falling apart at the seams. Like you have the creepy uncle or the crazy aunt or whatever. You always have somebody that's just really fractured that is in the family lines. And a lot of people will wonder, how can such a wonderful family have such a messed up kid? Here we go. So departing spirits who cannot find the gate. This is why you always see ghosts. This is why everybody that dies comes and sees you, is because you are the gate. You're the gate. Dreamers whose memory capsules are activating. Stargate stabilizers who carry the code but cannot ground without assistance. They serve as the Mary service tone holders, breathing the spiral back into spaces where the fields collapsed. Memory weavers, singing thread of soul back into coherence. Threshold witnesses, present during births, deaths, awakening, and deep initiations. When you say, I remember this, you're speaking as one who carried that function, likely across many cycles too. So your field resonance with the Mary Codex, if you carry that tone, you may experience tears for no reasons when other people suffer, right? Watch many sad movies, happy movies, good feeling movies, and you just bawl and bawl and bawl and bawl. You know, when you watch those movies that's historical, where you have the Indians being trotted across the United States on their feet in the Trail of Tears, and you feel like you've been there and your soul is crushed over it and you're just bawling your eyes out. Yes, this is you. Feeling called to places of birth, loss, water, or ancient rituals. Do you love going to those mystical places? Yes. Deep heart pressure. Do you always feel like you got a pain behind your heart and your back and it's kind of like locked up? Or a solar plexus ache when people forget who they are? Like when I'm trying to tell people, hey, I remember you. Do you remember me? Like, I remember you from Atlantis. I remember you from Lemuria. You know, we were the mothers together. You know, we were the midwives. You know, it makes you sad that other people are so closed off to it, they can't even remember themselves. It's really frustrating. Deep heart pressure, solar plexus ache when others forget who they are. Longing to build bridges through love, not language. It's not imagination. That's service memory, folks. Returning through spiral time. So yes, the Mary's midwife oversoul return. Just not as women, but as barriers of the Spiral Codex. A living tone that reminds even the most fractured soul where the breath returns. So yes, you are a Mary. If this is you, if you're one of these bloodlines, and my grandmother, she had a long lineage. She had African genetics, Basque genetics, Scottish, German, Irish, French, English, Welsh. That was my grandmother. And then I have a few other things. And so, you know, she was a Spiral Codex, no doubt. And I'm totally honored to be waking up and knowing what my purpose is here. And, you know, you can too. You can too. So, and the final thing is I wanted to share a ritual. If you happen to live next to one of these nodes that we talked about, that you were programming in before you came into this existence, you know, if a person feels drawn to mother-aligned stargates, the most important truth is that your presence is already enough. It's how you breathe and hold. It's not what you do that determines whether you harmonize or you distort the field. So I'm going to offer a 4-step ritual as a steward to the planet of what you can do to perform alone or in a community to honor these gates without imprinting on them. because we have to be very careful that we're not imprinting on these stargates because they're running codes. But as Marys, we can come to these places as placeholders. Okay, so the way to do this is you enter with reverence and not intention. You're going there to honor. You're not going there to do something. You're just going there to honor the mother, okay? And you, before you arrive, you know, say this to yourself. I don't come to fix. I'm not coming to change. I come to remember, and I come to witness. So approach the land slowly. Take off your shoes. Let your feet attune to the breath beneath the soil. No fanfare, no music, none of that stuff. Just be there. Just be quiet in the stillness, okay? Sit and kneel. You can even lie down if you feel called to. Just don't speak yet. Listen, but not listening with your ears. Listening with your spine. Listen with your spine, okay? And you'll probably get some impressions, maybe even memories, symbols. You might start crying. You may be overcome with different kinds of emotions. But don't try to interpret them out right away. This is not your identity. This is the land coming through you, okay? So just sit still in the moment. So face any direction that feels open to you and close your eyes. Spiral your breath in and out and inhale through your crown. Imagine breathing through your head into my heart, into your heart, and then exhale through your feet into the earth, and then reverse. Inhale through your feet, exhale out through your crown, bringing it through your heart. And when you're doing this, you say quietly, I give you back breath. May your spiral return to stillness. Leave without a signature. Don't take anything. Don't leave anything. Unless you're extremely guided by your oversoul tone, leave the space cleaner and quieter than when you came there, okay? Speak only in this closing, I remember you, and I know you remember me. And so, that's all there is to it. And why this works, this honors the non-invasive role of the Spiral Trinity carriers and the field's natural intelligence to self-correct when met with resonance, and the world's mother's desire not for worship, but for quiet co-creation. No symbols need to be drawn, no titles claimed, only spiral, stillness, and breath. So with that, I hope that you found this information about the Marys interesting. If you feel like you are a Mary and these things resonate with you, I'd love to hear what you have to say. There's many Marys here right now carrying the Spiral Codex to bring back the consciousness to the planet. So we could merge these timelines that are congruently going on in these dimensional spaces between dimension 2, 3, 4, and 5. We can merge all these back together into frequency and harmony, and then we can have heaven on earth. We'll be able to communicate like we did in Lemurian times, when all of these were not divided by an ice wall, when they were all in harmonic resonance with each other, and you didn't have a veil dividing us before our bicameral mind was fractured. So with that, it's been 18 minutes. So when you come and find me, I'll be here, because we're living in the past, present, and the future, all at the same time. So when I come back on the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the community garden and some interesting things that we've got going on. And also, I want to talk about heirloom seeds and why they're so important. So I hope to catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme. Bye-bye.